Okay, so this is a new project which I'm starting. The project idea is, and it's a small one, but it has role-based authentication, means role-based things are also there. Consider there are some colleges who arranges some hackathon competition, or some companies also organize some hackathon competition or college level project competition. So many competitions are happening like that, right? So let's consider we have to create an app which will allow those organizers, either it is a company or a college, to have an app where participant can register themselves. Because let's say if we talk about one college, so college can host multiple competition over the time, same as company also, right? So they need an app where they can create the competition or event, and for all that competition or event, participant can register. They can see what registration I have received, right? Then based on the some scrutiny, they can check the registration, what project idea they have, and they can approve and reject. And finally, on the application itself, they can declare the winner also. And again, we can have a dashboard also, right? This is just a small project idea. So roles will be either organizer and participant. Organizer will be responsible to create the events, right? Then participant will be able to only register for that particular event. And again, dashboard will be for the organizer. So again, it is going to be a website kind of application because it's an app, or we can call it as a product, because multiple college. Let me see if API is like that. Just a moment. Yeah. So I think this API, I forgot like how it was created. So I think this is kind of a product, means multiple colleges or multiple companies can register over here and they can create their own events. So consider it as a product. So we have two roles. This. So organizer and the participant. So organizer is the organizer might be a company or a college. So they will register, they will create various events, and participant will also has to register, because after registration only they can participate to the various event. Then there will be two registration, one for the accessing this application, another to register for an event, right? Then in the organizer and the participants also, we have to show all the registration. If we logged in as an organizer, we have to show all the registration received for a particular event. But if you log in as a participant, you can only see registration you have done for various events, right? Then approve registration, declare winner will be only accessible for the organizer only. So this is kind of a website, because whenever we talk about a product, every product will have a landing page which will explain what this product is about, what it does, everything, right? You must have seen some product where we have to showcase like what this product is about, what services we offer, something like that. So we will just have a landing page. And again, once user login, only dashboard is for the organizer. Participant doesn't have any dashboard. He can only register, see all the event, and he can see the registration he has made. That's it. So API will be on the free project api.com. So if you go over here and click on the project API, here you can select the project competition, and these are the APIs which we are going to use. Okay, so what are the possible APIs which we are going to need? All are over here. Fine. Now I have created the basic Angular 20 project. So you can see Angular 20 project is there. And just to revise, like the command to create the project is ng new project name. Then it will ask, now with Angular 20, it will ask three questions. First, do you need a zoneless application? So you can say no. Then which CSS framework you need? SAS less, right? So I go on with CSS. Then it will ask you like, do you need a server-side rendering? So I said no. Was that basic project will be created. After that, I have installed Bootstrap and the FontAwesome. Once you install the Bootstrap and FontAwesome, entry will be added over here like this, right? Then to use Bootstrap and FontAwesome in angular.json, we have to add the entries of it. So I have added in style array, I have added the style entry for this. Okay. This is the initial thing what I have done. Now we will start with the component creation. Now considering our business, whatever the project idea we have, first we have to decide the component, what component we are going to need. As I said, like this is going to be a website kind of application, not the admin one. Even if user is not logged in, he can see some things, basic website. So we will need a landing page. Okay. So for that, first we will create a folder, pages. In pages, we will create a first component that we will call it as a home. Ng generate component home. In home component, we will have a website. So by default, home component will load. Home component we have created. Then login and registration. So we will just create one page where we will have login and the registration. We will implement the toggle also over there. So ng generate component register. This is a normal registration page, not the event register. So in this register page only, we will have login and the registration both pages. Then, so we will need one page where organizer will create events, right? So events. Then we need one page where participant will register to the particular event. So register event. This is where participant will register to the particular event. Then we need dashboard component. So dashboard. Okay. So for now, we can start our project with this mesh component. Okay. So once you create the component, let's first run the project also. Let's open a new terminal. ng. So now while accessing the API, you have to run the project on 4209. So hyphen code, sorry, 4208. 4208. On this port only, you have to run the application. Fine. Once you create the component, next thing is we have to do is we have to create the routes. So we got approute.ts. So there we will create the route. By default, we get the empty route array. Inside that, we have to create the route. So square bracket, sorry, curly bracket, path. First route will be default route because whenever user land to our application, by default, we have to load the website. So first default route I'm creating, route will be empty and redirect to where we have to redirect home. Path mesh strategy we need full. This is my default route. Then I need path home route component home component. Fine. Then remaining routes also path register component register. Then whatever the component we have created, respective events, respective route we have to create. Events. Wait, what was our events now? Why it is not coming? Yeah, events. And then the dashboard one. Path, dashboard, component, dashboard. Okay, so these are the routes we need. Again, you can create a wildcard route also if something URL is wrong. So it should navigate to something. So again, you have to create no path found component and then you will add it over here in the wildcard route. I'm not covering that right now. So we created the route. Our application is also running. Let's try to access it. Localhost 4208. By default, it should navigate to the home component. Wait, on which port we run? We got error in angular.json. So it is not finding the FontAwesome path. Why? FontAwesome I didn't install or what? Let's remove it for now. So whenever you do changes in your angular.json, make sure you stop and run it again. Or let me first check if I have the FontAwesome. It is there. Why I was not able to get it? Because of this empty space might be. Let's save. Yeah, now it compiled successfully. If I reload, by default, you can see it is navigating to home component and here you can see home component is coming. This is coming from your app component, what we defaultly get, right? So let's remove that now. So this is something what we get by default. Now in your app component, you just will have router outlet, nothing else. Okay. Your app component will just act as a parent component. So router outlet will be over here. So by default, you can see it is redirect to home component and home component is coming. Now, as I said, we need a landing page. Okay, so I'm not going to create a website. I will use ChatGPT to do that. Fine. So again, you need to provide the project idea. How do we write a prompt? Like you need to provide the context, right? So this is my project idea. I will paste it over here. This is the project I am working. I need a landing website page for this. What our context is there. We have provided what we need. In what way you need. So do you need FontAwesome? Do you need with Bootstrap or simple HTML CSS? You have to specify that. Use Bootstrap 5 and FontAwesome 4.7. The specific version I have used, so that only we have to specify, right? Again, uh, so we don't have to worry about that much because we just need a basic landing page. So we will go with. Again, you can add some like you need multiple card, you need carousel, so many things you can add, right? So we will just go with it. One more thing we will say, use some color theme to make website attractive something. Okay, let's go now. So it should create a single page. Landing page preview, it is showing. Okay, it is asking us to. Okay, it is showing you the preview also. I think this is something new. Okay, so CSS are there. So we need to copy the CSS now. CSS, we will now our website will be going into the home component. So all CSS will go over here. Then we need the HTML code. So from this navbar up to footer, it will go to the HTML. Let's save and let's check how website is looking. Somewhere at the red symbol is there in HTML. At the rate. Okay. So see, we got some basic website created. Okay. Now here, like whatever the organizer will create the event, we will make it dynamic. Currently it is static. Okay. So we got our basic website. Now, once you click on the register, now with this same nav bar, one more component is there, right? So we should have a registration and the login page over there. Now again, for that same thing also, we will use ChatGPT only to create the UI. So for registration, this is our API. So these are the things, these are the properties we should have in our form, right? So we can ask ChatGPT only to create a registration and the login page. But as we said, we just created one component, register only. And in this component only, we are going to have login and the registration page only. We don't have a separate login component. In the same component, we are going to have both of the thing. So we need something to toggle, right? If I click on login, login page will be, if I click on register, login will get hidden and registration will be visible like that. Okay. So, but if you see, as I said, this is going to be website. Now, currently what we have done, this footer and this navbar, we have kept it in our home page, right? But again, when you navigate to the register, or let's first do that, then you will understand why we need to make why I need to keep this into another component. Fine. So first we need the UI for registration. And always follow the same chat because it knows like what CSS, what color combination it has taken. So it will follow the same. Fine. Now we will ask it. I need one more page where register and login form will be there. This object is for register. So it will create a form. If you pass the object, it will create a respective form also along with those fields. And we need to pass the login object also. Login. Yeah, just two things are there. This is for login object. Okay, now we need something. Let's say we will have a card, and inside that card we should be able to toggle. So we need to specify that also. Now we are using single page for register and login. So need some toggle functionality. Either we can use card, and in bottom we can have button to toggle between forms. So your prompt should be that much clear. So within one prompt only you should get what you expect. Otherwise you will just asking again and again and again and again. So much time get waste. Instead of that, you could have designed the page yourself only. So we cannot waste that much time. So your prompt should be very clear and exact what you need in what way you need. Okay, let's go. And yeah, it should follow the same color combination. We don't have to again specify. And we said like we need functionality. So it possible like it might provide the functionality with JavaScript, that toggle thing. Okay, so again, we have to convert that JavaScript logic into Angular. Fine. What is this? If I select, I think it is just finding images from Google, and based on that, it is creating something. This is something new. I think this is GPT-5, no? No, but still it is suggesting that. Okay. So now we have some separate CSS for login. So let's copy those. In register component, we need the CSS. Now we need the HTML. So let's copy. See, JavaScript code it has provided. Copy. We'll paste it over here. Now in our home component, we have a register button, right? So now on click of it, we have to navigate to the register page. So instead of href, we have to use router link. Again, rule goes, whatever you want to use, you need to import it. Router link we are going to use, so we need to import it. Router link. Okay. Now over here, router link slash our path name. What's the path name we have given? For register only. Fine. Let's try to navigate now. So if I click on register, now you see we got the registration form. Again, login and functionality is there, but we should have a navbar also here, because whenever you are working on application, your look and feel should be same. So again, here we need the navbar and the footer. So again, we cannot copy this navbar and put it into over there. So what we can do, this navbar, we can put it into our app component. Okay. Over here, and footer also we can put it over there, because this is going to be common. Again, we can create separate component and put it over there. Log for navbar, and for footer, we can create separate component. We can put it over there, or we can have it over here also. Okay. Now let's see if how our application is behaving. Okay. See, footer is coming, but CSS we didn't move. Okay. So CSS we will move. Now we don't know which CSS. Okay. Very less CSS are there. Navbar. We have to move it to our app component. And then we need CSS for the footer. That's it. Okay. So see, now you got it. But why register page is coming over here? Register CSS we copied, right? And with register, now they over here, they have created this body. Let's copy this. We don't have body, right? But it might have considered, because we said we need a plain HTML. So it has created that page using the body, but we don't have body in our component. So what we can do, we will create a class with parent. And this extra div we need to create over here. One more div. And all our code we will move over here. So this will act as a body. Let's see now. So now it is coming proper. Okay. Now we need the functionality. So if you know the JavaScript, so you just have to see how it is behaving. So see what you are doing. On click of login button, you are just adding a class hidden and removing it. See, we are just adding and removing the hidden class. Okay. So if you see over here, let's inspect auth card. Now in auth card, you can see we have two forms, register form and login form. If I remove this class from over here, and if I add it over here, or let's do it over here. So we have two form. Okay. Currently registration form is visible. If I add this class over here, so now my login form should be visible. See, getting it? So at a time only one form is visible. How we are going to do that? If we add a dynamic class. Okay. So now we have to add a dynamic class. In JavaScript, they have done it by using class list, add or remove. Same thing we have to do in Angular. So we can use your ng class or normal class also. We just need a condition to add a dynamic class. So what we can do now, since we are working with Angular 20, so instead of creating a normal variable, we will create a signal. Okay. So signal, let's say is login form visible. Colon signal, small one now. What type of data? Boolean value I'm going to get. Default value, let's say false. Okay. So now this signal will have the true or false. So now we just have to make it add a dynamic class. So property binding class is equal to signal we access as a method. If this signal has a true value, we will add this class, otherwise this class. Okay. So otherwise this, and same we need to copy and put it over here with vice versa. So this will go over here. Okay. And in each form, we will have a button to toggle, right? So here we will just change the value of that signal. So toggle form. Over here also we need the same button. And now in the login form also we need the same button. Let's create this function. Now what we need to do, we just need to toggle the value. If it is true, we need to make it false. So this dot is login form visible dot set method. And what we need to set vice versa of that. So this dot same method, vice versa value of that. Okay. Let's see now. See, working now. So we are just adding a dynamic class. That's why it is toggling. Okay. Now, so our basic like website is ready, login page UI is also ready, toggle is also working. Now, next thing is we have to integrate the API. So first, we cannot directly log in. First, we need to register. So this is the register API, right? For registration API, this is the object what we need to send. Now we are moving towards the API call integration. So first thing we have to do is we have to go to our app config. Let me just save all. App config over here, you need to add provide HTTP client. Why it doesn't come? Let's add the import first. Common / HTTP provide HTTP client. Okay. So first thing from Angular 17, whenever we have the moment we started getting app config. So previously we used to do this HTTP client we used to import, but now we have got app config. In app config, we have got provide HTTP client. So same thing what we used to do with HTTP client module, we have to do it over here. After that, now we will, for registration, we will do the API call integration in the component. Then we will create the service. For now, in the component itself, I will do the API call. Now we have to inject our HTTP service. So HTTP inject HTTP client. Okay. Now, so this is the object of your register API. So we have to create in our .ts. So register object. I'm going with any for now. Remaining things we will again create class or interface. Okay. Fine. So whatever the API object is there that we have created. Now this object we need to bind to our form. We are going to use template form. If you are going to use template form ng model, so you need to import forms model. Why it doesn't come for the first time? Angular/forms. Okay, then it will come. First time, sometimes we have to write forms module. Okay. Now this object we need to bind to our form. So let's open side by side. Opening this side by side also now will help you to increase your development speed. Okay. Now over here we have this form. Now what are the elements we have? There only we need to bind square bracket, round bracket, ng model is equal to your object dot property name. Right? So since we created with any, so it won't suggest what property we have. But if we have assigned that a class, it would have suggested everything. We will see that in coming component. Okay. So here we need to bind full name. This is for full name only, no? Yeah. Then now in on every element, I need this. So I will just copy paste to increase the speed. Role we don't need because organizer, or let it be. Organizer also should register over here. So role, college name, password, and email. Okay. Let's save and check if we have any error or not. Yep, we don't have any error. Fine. So we created object. That object we binded to the form to the respective element. Now on click of submit, let's make it button. We need to do the API call integration. So click on register. Okay. Whenever either you are doing practice or actually you are working on the project itself, always follow the naming convention. Proper name should be there. Use camel case and everything you should follow. Make that a habit, right? That's how you identified as a good developer. You should not get this silly mistake in your PR and you are getting comments for change the name and everything, right? Keep names proper. If you are creating observable, start with dollar, right? So that it should identify it. If you are creating a variable where we are going to store Boolean value, start with is, like I have done, right? So if anyone is reading your code, let's say you raised a PR and your TL is reviewing your code, by the name itself, he should understand you are going to store Boolean value, right? Now, over here, we have to do the API call integration. So this dot HTTP dot post API call, right? URL we need. So let's get the URL. So I'm just clicking test point over here. Oh my God. Let's now this is not a Swagger. This is the application which I have created. So what you do first, you need to pass the proper data. Then only that API will come over here. It is saying like API already exists. So you can click on over here, go to the network tag and copy the URL. I will try to modify, but for now use like this. So this is my post API URL. Okay. For post object, we need to pass URL and then object, what data you want to store, right? So object is nothing but your register object. So this dot register object. Then we can subscribe colon any. Okay. Let's see what response we are getting. Yeah, directly response only we are getting. Okay. Now here, if the registration is successful, this, let me close this now. Or instead of this old way, now we need the error block also. What's the other syntax? Next. Next, colon, result. This will be our success block. And then comma, error block. This is something new way what we have to write because the earlier way of writing error block is deprecated. Okay. Error. So if API call is success, we will get this next block will execute. And here we will say registration success, some message we will say. And in error block, we will say alert. And from error, we will get error property, I think error dot. We will check again what we get exactly. Like that, we will again change the code. Fine. Since you are debugging, writing the API call for the first time, let's add a debugger everywhere. So you should understand the flow, how your code is behaving. Okay. Let's see now. So first, I think when we tried with the email this only, na, so we got the error. So let's try the same so that I can show you like we get the error also. Okay. Network call, we can see all the API call going from our application. You can visit, you can see in the network tab. So once we click on the register, see our API, our function got executed. Here you can see whatever the data we filled. Wait, one property is missing. Okay, user ID is not there. Fine. Okay, so all the properties are over here. Once I continue, see, I got the error. Now, if you hover on the error, in error.error, you get the error. Email already exists. So whatever the email I passed string, that is already there with some other user. So error.error. So whatever the API error we got, that we are displaying. Okay. Now we will try to register with the proper data. So this was full name, right? Test22. This was email test22 @gmail.com. Again, these APIs are free, open. Everyone is going to use this. Everyone is going to see the data. Don't provide your actual email and the mobile number. Okay. 112233. Password I'm giving. Let me put that over here because we are going to need it. 112233. We will say this is organizer, or let's say participant. Okay. What is this? College name. Let's say some college name. Participant. Okay. Now if I click on register, now we are passing the data. If this email ID doesn't exist, so we should able to register properly. Yeah. So you can see next block executed, and here you got message user registered successfully. Okay. So our registration is success. Now, if you check the GET API, we should be able to see the record we just created. Get all user, test endpoint. So many users will be there now. Okay, so see, test22, whatever the user we created got created successfully. Now we will integrate the login API. So this is our login API. This is the object what we need to send. So again, we will create one more. So login object, :any. Okay. Again, this login object we need to bind to our form. So we just have two field over here, square bracket, round bracket, ng model, login object dot email ID. We need to bind it over here, and same to the second input, we need to bind password. Okay. Now on click of login, we need to integrate second API. So click on login. Let's create this. Just like this, same function will be there. Okay. So I will just copy paste. Let's format it. So same function will be there, just URL will change and the object will change. So URL will be, almost all URL will be same, just login will change because this is constant across all the APIs. So just your method name will keep on changing. And here you need to pass the login object. Okay. Now, once user successfully log in, right, we have to navigate him back to the home page. Okay. So from .ts, we have to navigate. So to navigate from .ts, we need router service. Router inject router. Sorry. Okay. And we have to store the logged in data also into the local storage, right? So for that, or let's first see what data we get, then we will do remaining thing. So first I will go with the wrong credential. Okay. So we should see the error. Okay. Now if I click on login, oh wait, we didn't call the function. We called, no, but why function didn't execute it? Yeah. Okay. So it got into the error, and here you can see invalid credential. Okay. Now we will pass the correct credential. So this is our correct credential. Login. See, our API call got success, and in response, we got the whole data, user ID and everything. So this data we need to store to the local storage or session storage or cookie, wherever. Okay. Based on the scenario and the requirement, we use any of the medium to store the data. Set item. What is it? Hackathon user. And we cannot store directly object, right? We have to convert it into string. So JSON dot stringify. What we need to pass? The complete object, whatever we get. And once we store, then we need to navigate him to the register. Your home page. So this dot router dot navigate by URL, and where we have to navigate? Home. So home route, we will pass it over here. Okay. Let's see the complete functionality now. So this is everything what you need to do whenever we say registration and the login. So many things are there what we have to do. Okay, now once I click on login, we got the data. We are storing that into local storage and we are navigating back to the home page. See, got it? Now again, one more thing is remaining. If user is logged in, here we need to show logged in username and a log out button, right? So let's do that also. Now, how do we know user is logged in or not? If user is logged in local storage, we have the data in this variable. Same logic we will use. Okay, now what is over here now? So just like this li, one more li I will copy paste. In one li, we will show the username. We don't need this href. So here we will show the logged in username. So in app component, we have to read the local storage data and we have to get, what do we say? Whatever the username is there that we need to read. So in constructor, on the page load, we need to do it. So I'm doing that code in the constructor. Logged, complete logged data, I will store into this variable, okay? Constant local data, local storage dot get item. We have to read the local storage data. Our key name is hackathon user. That we will pass it over here. Whenever you are reading the data from the local storage, always add a null check, okay? Because if user is not logged in, this might break. So this is not equal to null. What we need to do while storing the data, we convert it into string format. Again, we need to convert it back to the object format, and that we will store into our log data variable. So JSON dot parse method, we have to pass the logged in data, whatever you get. Now in this variable, you will have the logged in data. So this you will use it over here to show dot What are the keys we have? Application. So we have full name or email we will show. Okay. Email property we will show. And by default, this might be undefined. So we have to add question mark over here, or let me show you like how it break. Then we will add that question mark. And here we will need a button, or simply we will say log off. Yeah, let's see now. So here currently you can see we are getting the email ID and log off. Why it's not breaking? Because we did it in the constructor itself, right? Let's try one more time. Okay. So now on click of log off, what we need to do instead of that text now, we should make it a button. Then it should look more clickable. Okay. Now on click of this log off button, we have to remove the local storage data, right? That's how you do the log off, right? So let's create a function, click on log off. So local storage dot remove item, whatever the key we said, that only we should remove. This was the key. Okay, I'm not audible properly. Voice coming low. Guys, is it better now? Try now. Is it better now? Hello.
Yes, it's coming right.
Previously it was not coming.
No, previously it was also right for me.
Okay, okay, fine. So we have to remove the particular local storage data. Then we need to make this variable also undefined again, because if we are logging off, there is no point to store that data over here in this variable. So we will make it undefined or null. Okay. Let's see now. So now if let's see this. Currently we have this local storage data. If I click on log off, function didn't call or what? Let's save again. If I click on log off, data is getting removed. But here you can see still it is showing the logged in date, logged in and log off, right? It should not be like that. But if I refresh again, then you will get to see. But instead of log off, you have to show the login button. So if user is logged in, we have to show this. Otherwise, we have to show the or we don't show anything because we have, or we will show the login button at least. Okay. So here we will write the condition. How do we know user is logged in? If this variable has the data. Now, if you see now, here it is breaking. Cannot read properties of email of undefined. So that's what I said ki we should have question mark over here so that optional checking will be done. Okay. So now if this variable has data, we know its user is logged in. So we will use @ if this variable has data, we will show this to li. Otherwise, we will show this login. Instead of log on, we will have login button. And on click of login, we will simply redirect to the register page. So router link also again we will need. Router link. We don't need to create function directly. We can use a router link to navigate. Okay. Let's save. So if I click on login, it is navigating properly. Okay. But again, one more issue will be there. See, once I click on login, So just to complete this login and authentication, see so many things we have to do. If I click on login, just pay attention what is the defect we should get. Currently local storage doesn't have any data. If I click on login, I got the data and I stored it also. In the local storage, we have the data, right? But here it is still showing login only. It is not showing the logged in username and logout button. But if we reload, then it will show. That's because login is happening from another component and this is another component. So how does it know like user logged in or not? So once we do the login, we have to emit something, right? So here we use subject because something is happening in one component and based on that we need to write something code in another component. So we have to let app component know that I logged in. So again, it will read that local storage data. So for that, we have to create the subject or behavior subject, right? So what I will do, I will create a common service. So in app folder, I will create a folder service. Let's go with the master service. Name can be anything. Ng generate service master. Now in master service, what I will do, I will create a subject. Dollar login done. Subject. We are not going to emit any value or something. So we can make it as a void subject also because we just want to emit something, right? So we are not going to emit some data along with it. So void subject means it's an empty subject. Okay. Now in our master service, we have created a subject. So what we will do now, once login is done, first we need to integrate our master service also over here. Inject master. Okay. Now once login is done, we will emit that subject. Fine. So this dot master service dot next. By using the next property we emit. We don't have to emit something because we said void. And in your app component, you will listen to that subject. So this dot. Okay, sorry, we need to integrate that master service also over here. I'm going a little bit fast because so many things are there to cover. So in constructor, this dot master service dot login data dot subscribe. Okay. Now, once that login is done, we are going to emit some value, right? We are going to emit the subject. So this will trigger. Again, we need to read the local storage data. So this code, instead of putting it over here, we can move it to another function, read local data. So on the page load also, we will call this function, means over here. And once our subscribe got executed, again, we will call it. Now, whatever the problem we had, that should solve now. Okay. Let's log off. Let's try now login. Email ID 112233. Now, if I click on login, let's add a debugger over their app component also. Over here. Okay. See, I got the subscribe call over here and I'm again reading the data. So now, once you log in, you are able to see the logged in username and logout button. So just to implement login, registration and everything, again, AuthGuard is still remaining. Okay, so almost 1 hour is required just to complete this. Not at least startingly I have explained the project. So at least 40 to 30 minutes. Again, I'm saying, so that's why it is taking time. But if you are doing, you don't have to talk, right? So at least 30 minutes you need to complete everything. That should be your speed. Again, means if you are a fresher, that should not be your speed. But if you already have an experience, doesn't matter 2 year, 3 years. So this should be your speed. with less than 30 to 40 minutes, you should be able to complete everything. Okay. Now we will move towards the event and everything. So this landing page, login and registration part is done. Now we will move towards the event creation. So I have created two more record, two participant and two organizer. So one is, let's say, consider TCS company has purchased our product, and then Techem also. So now once organizer logged in, the user which has the role organizer, if he logged in, he should be able to create the events, whatever the various hackathon or events they are going to organize. Okay. So let's try to log in with this particular role. Login and the password. You can also create your own and use that to create the events. Registration success. So we are logged in. Now, if the logged in user, if I show you the local storage value. So currently the logged in username is, wait, why we got student over here? Let me check the registration page. Drop down value we have. Okay, here we have organizer and student, but did I hard code that? Let me just check the API code why student role is coming over there. Sorry, so my bad. So I said like initially, right? So this API was created so long back, so I forgot like I had hard coded role student. So that's why even if you registered as a participant now, still you will get, because while storing the data, I'm hard coding role as a student. Fine. So now I will change it, like whatever the role we get, that we will store it. Where is it? Role. But now since I created two records, again, I need to deploy the API. So for now, what I will do, what do we say? I will change the uh, role from the database itself. Okay. Let me do that. So I have changed the role into the database. So, but when you will use it, I will deploy the API. So by default, whatever the role you send, that will get stored. So now you can see we have got two participant and two organizer. Fine. This is the existing data. Now let's try login again. Log off. Let's close everything now. So let's say if I log in with TCS. 223344. Fine. If I click on login, registration, we have to change that message. Now, if I check the local storage, here you can see now role we are getting organizer. Now, here we have to do some changes according to the role. If the logged in role is organizer, we should show one more navigation item over here. Let's say events. There we will, because if the logged in user is participant, he should not be able to create the events, right? So now based on the role, we will add one more link over here in the app okay. So our navbar is over here, right? So let's copy this. Now here we will have one more links, events, fine. And if logged in data is there, and along with role, if logged in data, this is first check, second check. If log data dot role equal to what we need to compare with organizer. So if the role logged in role is organizer, then only we will show the event link. Router link slash, what was the route name? Events. Let's make it events. Fine. Let's save. So events is visible. If I click, I'm able to navigate. Now in the event page, we have to do complete API integration for creating an event and everything. So event is nothing but competition. Either you say it is a competition or event, but these are the APIs. So post API, update API, delete API, and get API is also there. Here you can see get API is there. So first we have to create the UI, right? Design we need. So if you see the object, what is the object I need to send? So again, I forgot a light. So we considered like this application, we will start it as a, what do we say, product, but I don't have that even organizer ID over here. So it consider like we are not creating this as a product, but let's say for a particular company is going to handle this. So that was my third process, but I forgot that. Okay. So now here it will be considered like, instead of considering this as a product, it will be like a normal application, considering for a particular company they have created for themselves only. So that's why there we don't have any organizer ID over here. Fine. So now over here, this is the object. Now we need the UI design for this. So we will ask the chat GPT only to create the UI for us. This is object for competition creation. Provide UI design for CRUD. Use. Now again, we have a website, right? So we will have in we can design a UI like, at a time only card will be visible. We will show the list of the competition, and if I click on add, table will hide, and then your form will be visible. So I need toggle between, or let's simply ask create card to show get data, and one more card where we will have form. But again, like in the form, we just have very small field, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 5 fields are there. So instead of having this in a whole form, we can have that in a single view. In the left side, we will have the list, and in right side, we will have the form. So use row call 8 to show list, and call 4 to have form. Okay. In both call, use card. Fine. Let's see. Okay. So it has provided some card design. So let's copy the card CSS. So it will go over here. Then we need the HTML. So HTML, let's copy that. Copy. HTML will go over here. Okay. Let's save and check if our UI is as per our need or not. Okay. So this card is coming proper, right? So we got the UI ready. Now here we will have the form. Now in the login implementation, we have done the template. In login and registration, we have used the template form. Here also we will use the template form, but one more advanced thing we will go. If you see in the login and registration, we have gone with the any. So instead of any, now we will create a class so that we can properly data type everything. So now in app folder, I'm creating one more folder that I will call it as a models. And here first a normal TS file I'm creating to create a class of our event, right? So it's not an event, competition, right? Competition.ts. Here you have to create the class of it. So export class competition model. Now what are the things fields you have in your object, right? Those field property you need to create along with your right data type. So over here, we don't need it in the double quotes. Let's remove that. Control Alt Shift. All the lines you can select in one go. This you will replace with number, and wherever you have string, that you will replace with colon string, like this, and this you will replace with date. Fine. So you have created all the properties, but we are getting error saying these properties are have not initialized because we have, it's a class. Inside class, we have created some properties. We need to initialize it. Since it's a class, so we can have an access to the constructor. All the properties you can initialize. Competition ID is the primary key, so we can initialize with 0. Remaining properties, description is string, so we can initialize with empty. Title is also string, so we can initialize with empty. Dot start date. Now start date is having a data type date, so we can initialize with null, or we can go with string also, because we are going to pass date only. So let's initialize with string. End date is equal to empty, and then status. Status, I think from API side I'm handling, so by default we will put it as empty only. So now what object we have to send along with the API? We have created a class for that. Now in registration component, we have gone with any, but now here we have the class created. So here, first we have to create the competition object. Now here, instead of going with any, we will provide the proper data type. So competition model. Why name is not coming? I'm making the spelling mistake, I think. Okay, like this is equal to new, again same model. This is how you can do properly. Okay. Now in your HTML, you need to bind it also, right? So let's open it side by side. Now, when we did that with any, it was not suggesting the properties we had in that object, right? But if you see over here, ng model we are using, so we need to import forms module, fine, equal to your competition object model dot. See, once I press the dot, I'm able to see the suggestions because we strongly type our variable with some class, like what properties I'm going to have it over here. Got it? So now this is for title. Let's bind everything. Let's copy. Okay. So this is description. Then we have start date, end date, and this will be your status. Fine. So we created object, that object we have binded to our form. Now on click of submit, we have to integrate our save API, right? So click on save. Let's create this function now. Now I'm closing my HTML file. Okay. The work is done of that. Now here we have to do the API call integration. So now in the first component, register component, we have done the API call integration into component itself, right? Normally, we can do the API call integration into component, but our component should be only focused for the data manipulation, data modification, or DOM manipulation. It should not concern about remaining things. So this doesn't have anything directly connection with your UI. So this kind of code, which doesn't concern with the UI, you can move it to your service file. So now I'm creating service. Oh, sorry, we already had created service, right? So we can make use of this service. Now here we will write our API call function. So private HTTP client, fine. Now here on save competition. Here we will have our API call, but whatever the data, once we API call success, we are going to return the response also. This dot HTTP dot post API call. So post API call has two parameters, URL and the object. So this function we are going to call from the event component over here. So while calling, we are going to pass the data. So that data we can catch it over here. Data colon. What type of data I'm going to get? Competition model. So same data type also you can keep it over here. So we should not use any, right? Unless we don't have any option. We don't know data type, what type of data type we are getting, right? Then only you should use it. And data you will pass it over here. Now we need the URL. So URL will be almost same, just post API it is there, right? So for you can see competition update and delete. Okay. So let's get this competition URL. And now remaining URL we can copy it from over here. Fine. So this is our complete URL that will be post and the object. Now this service we need to inject into our event component. So master service is equal to inject master service we will inject. Fine. Now in this function, we have to write the API call function. We need to integrate that. So master service dot, currently we just have one function. We need to pass the data. So this dot, our object, competition object, dot subscribe, round bracket, curly bracket, next colon, result. This is our success block, then error, like that, right? So if our success block is there, we will say alert competition created. And over here, alert, whatever the error message we get. So error dot error. Fine. Let's simply check if we are able to do the, if we are able to create the competition now. Let's check existing how many competitions are there, because APIs are there from so long. So existing data will be there. Oh my God, so many data is there. Anyway, last record is 137. Now, let's say React JS project faced, just some name I'm giving. Showcase React.js projects. Start date. Let's say this competition is going to start from 22 and it will be there for next month 6. Okay. Status upcoming. Now let's debug it also. If our object and everything is proper, on click of save, one API call is there and we got 2 not 1, means record got created. Let's check the get API again if data is available. Yes. So see, we created our competition. Now this get API we need to integrate. Okay. So this is our get API call. Now again in the service, we will create our one more function, get all competition. This is our method name, right? So now this is our get API. So again, same return this dot http dot get, and we need to pass the URL. Now this will be your URL up till over here, and after that your actual method name over here. That's it. Now this function you need to call on the page load. So we will implement our lifecycle event, that is implement on init lifecycle event. And once you implement on init, then you need to implement our ng on init lifecycle event also. Ng on init, and then we will create one more function, get all data. This dot master service dot get all competition, then dot subscribe. Next. So once we get the data, that data we need to store into somewhere, right? Then we can iterate on it in the HTML. So we will say grid data colon. Now what type of data I'm going to get? Array of this model only. So square bracket empty. Fine. Now once we get the data, that data we will have to catch it over here, result. So this dot grid data is equal to res. Fine. And this function, why we are getting error? Okay. So here also we need the proper return type or what? Object, right. So here also we need to return the proper data type. What type of model, what type of response we are going to return from this function. Like this. So now you see that error is gone. And this function we need to call on the ng on it, so that once our component load, ng on it will trigger, and respective this function will also trigger. Now this will have the data of all the competition created. So here call 6 is there. So instead of call 6 now, we will go with call 4, so that in one row, we will show 4 competition. So here we need the for loop. So at the rate for loop on the array which we have created. And this I will put it over here and we will just bind the data. So here name of the competitions, that is nothing but title. So item dot, see all the properties are coming. This is happens when you properly data type everything instead of going with any. So this will be description. So item dot description, we should not show the description because it will take so much of space and it will disturb our UI. But let's see, start date and item dot end date. Instead of using ChatGPT for creating the UI, you can use Bolt AI or Lovable also. It will provide you very stunning UI. Okay. But it takes time, so I prefer ChatGPT because UI is not our focus, right? Again, if you are new, please do like, subscribe. In video description, you can find the link of my WhatsApp group. There you can join. I normally take the live session, so you just get notification of that also. And you can connect me with your queries also. Now, so here you can see we are able to see all the data competition, whatever created. So much of data I said now. See, it is coming now. But now we don't have to show the date like this. We can add the pipe now. So we have to use the date pipe. So for that, date pipe we need to import. And then over here, date along with format dd hyphen mm hyphen yy. Same format I will add it over here also. Let's save. See, now date is coming proper. Okay. This is, but why 00? Somewhere 00 is there. Something is wrong with date. Why 00 is coming? Let me check if I make mistake. Sorry, it should be capital M. Okay, that's why month was coming 0. Month should be always in a capital. Okay. Now you can say properly month is coming. If you want to show the text, you can use 3M also. Okay. Now, so edit and delete I won't be covering. Now with this, login and registration part is done. We are able to create the competition. Now student has to register for the particular competition. So whatever the competition we have shown over here, that we have to show over here, right? Then people can register, right? So that is the next step we are going to do. So we have successfully created the events and events are visible in the organizer login also. Now, what are the events we have created that should be visible in my main website so that participant can see what are the events going on and they can register, correct? So on the home page, we have this space where we have to show the events, whatever the events are there, right? So for that in the home component, now this is coming from your home component. So let's close everything. In our home component on the page load, we need to call the API and that card we need to iterate over here, right? So we already have created the master service and there we have this function, API call function. So again, we don't need to do that. So this is reusability because in a service, you have created a function. Now you are using the same API call function into two component, event component as well as in home component. Fine. So in home component on the page load, so implement on init. Now, as I said, na ki there are multiple ways to do the API call. So in in our event component, what we have done on the page load, we have called the API call. We have stored that over response over here, and that function we called it over here. But here is the problem. Like with this, there will be a memory leak. Like we know, like when you prepare or if you are done with your basic topic, we have a question like how to avoid memory leak in Angular. So once you subscribe, then you have to unsubscribe. Then again, we create subscription array and then we unsubscribe. So if you don't want to worry about the subscription, so you can directly, instead of subscribing into the .ts and storing into a variable, then we're using that variable over there, you can directly subscribe into the HTML only. How to do that? Let's see now. So in home component, instead of creating a variable, now we don't need ng on int also. Let's remove this. So we will create an observable data. Let's say event list. It's going to be observable. So we will start with dollar colon observable. What type of data? Event. Did we create an interface for that? Let me just quickly check. Competition model. Yeah, competition model. Sorry, I always say event. It's a competition, nothing but same. Array of competition model I'm going to store over here. Let's add the import. We need to initialize it. New observable. Fine. So what we did, we created an observable. Now in the constructor, we have to inject our master service also. So master service is equal to inject. What we need to inject? Our master service. Fine. Now in the constructor, we have to assign value to this observable what we have created. So what the value we will assign is this dot master service dot our get all competition API call response. See. So whatever this function is going to return, that we are simply storing over here. Means in this date, in this particular dollar event list, what we are going to store? Observable type of data. So now we can use async pipe. So to use it, we have to import it. So the rule itself from Angular 17, when we got the standalone component, whatever you are going to use, you need to import it, then only you can use it. So we are going to use async pipe, so you need to import it. Now in home component, this is our card, right? So let me remove the static one. This is our card that we need to iterate. So at the rate for loop. Now here we don't have a variable, but what we have? Observable. So we will iterate on this observable, but by using the async pipe. So this and async pipe. So now you don't have to worry about the unsubscribe and everything. Angular async pipe will take care of the async making means keeping that memory free. Like it will do the unsubscribe. Fine. Let's see now. Same thing it will work. Okay. See on the home page you are able to see that many card, but we need to bind the data also now. Interpolation. So here event name should be there. So item dot title, then this is a small description, item dot description. Let's save. See, okay. So what are the events happening that we are able to show it over here? But let's see if we have some flag over there, because the previous event we don't have to show now, only upcoming should be visible. Let me just check if I'm passing some status over there now. So see, we have a new status property. Fine. Let's check if all has new only. Yeah. So see, we just have to show the see from API call, we are getting around 80 events, but we just have to show the record which are active, right? So, but again, like we have to subscribe. Okay, let's let it be. We won't do that. We will stick to the very basic thing. Okay, but those who know, so instead of showing all the record, you can filter it out with the status is equal to new, and those only you can show, because new means upcoming or active you can show. Okay, now. So on the home page, we are able to see the events, whatever are the competitions going on. Now, let's say a normal user came. He want to he want to register for this particular event. So while doing the login process, we have created two registration, right? So let's say this one, we log in with one participant. What was the password we said? 112233. Again, I'm repeating. When we started the project, I initially explained like it's a kind of a product, but consider we are not doing it as a product. Multiple organizer cannot register. Consider only this application is going to be used for a particular company. Okay, because our API, my API is not like that. Again, I have to make some changes and existing data will get overridden. Okay, so consider particular, let's say TCS. So TCS has created this application. All the competition hackathon they are going to organize, they will create it over here, and other can register and apply for the TCS events only. Okay. It's not a product. It's a particular application for a particular company. Fine. Now, so we registered as a normal user. So now normal user should be on click of register. They should be able to register to this particular event. So for that, let's check the API. So project competition, registration is done. It is project or what? Yeah, project only. So let's say you have a competition saying ki, React.js something is there or Python is something is there. So you have something event going on in the TCS and you want to submit your project on that. That is nothing but registration, right? So here you can see submission ID is nothing but your primary key. So that will be 0. Competition ID is nothing but which competition you are registering. So that ID we need to pass it over here. User ID, the logged in user ID, who is registering for this, who is submitting the idea for this project, kind of, you can say, right? Remaining things we will have into the form. Competition ID is like which competition you are going to submit this project. User ID, the logged in user ID. Okay. And submission ID is your primary key. So that we have to send it as a 0 only. So this is our object. Now we will again ask the ChatGPT to create the next UI. So we created this project over here. So following the same, what do we say? Prompt, we will use the same chat going on so it can know the history. So competition created will be shown on landing page. On click of register, we should have a project submission page where object fields are this, right? So these are the field I am going to have. So create a, now we need to specify, I need a UI. Create a UI design for this object so that participant can submit project for particular competition. Fine. And in that we don't need these 3 field. No need of, because that we are going to add as a programmatically logged in data, competition ID and everything. This field in form. Let's see. So it should help us to create the project. Now, do we have the component created? Yeah. So register event project, register event component is already created. Now, whenever we are going to navigate to this component, see the UI now. This is kind of an important thing now. If I click on register, on click of register, I'm going to navigate onto that particular component. But while navigating, I need to record the event, na? Which event I am going to submit my project for. So whatever the ID you have, that with that ID you are going to navigate. So now we need a route route which has a parameter, because while navigating to that register event, we are going to navigate with the route also. Fine. So let's copy paste event or project submission. Submit. Now here we need to, this is our normal route, but now whenever we are going to navigate from home component to project submit, we are going to navigate with the event ID or the competition ID. So :/ID. Fine. And here register event component. Fine. Let's try. Sometimes I get confused, like slash is first or colon is first. Let's see. So on click of home, we have this anchor tag, right? So on click of it, we have to navigate. Again, we are going to navigate. So we need router link. Router link is already imported. Now here, router link slash our route name. Our route name is project submit. But while navigation, we have to pass the ID also. So curly bracket item dot, what do we need to pass? Competition ID. So our URL will be dynamic. Whatever the event you click, it will navigate with that. Let's check if we are able to navigate properly. So if I click on this, we should be getting one error. Yeah. Project submit. Is it like this? Let's try one more time. Yeah. So now you can see we are able to navigate whatever the competition you click, with that ID you will be navigating. See 31 and everything, right? Now let's get the UI, what it has created. So yeah, see now it has just provided the UI because it might have got the idea that we are using Angular. So it didn't provide that from the body. Let's copy the code only now. Now that code, we have to put it over here. Let's save and check how UI is looking. See, you got the form now. So project title, your description. Let's say you are registering for a React.js project competition. So what project you have created, your project description, if you have pushed that code somewhere, submission date and status. So this also submission date and status, we should not put it over here. So by default submission date, current date we will pick, and status by default, because the organizer will check the status, right? Either it is approved or rejected something. So we should not have this. So these two things I will remove again. So submission date also we don't need. Hard code value we will send. Okay. Now, so whatever the ID we have over here, that we need to read, because that we are going to pass it along with the object. So we need to read the query parameter. Now, whatever the query parameter we have to read that, first we have to create the instance of our activated route. So private activated route. Activated route is again our service from our routing library. So this dot activated route dot params dot subscribe. So whatever the parameters you have in the URL, you can actually subscribe that parameter and you can read that data. Result colon any. I'm giving any because parameter name can be anything. Or we can hard code this. We can create an interface of that also. Currently, our parameter name is ID only, right? So now if I add a debugger over here, let me just show you how do we get the data. So if I reload, see, in result, you got the object ID colon whatever the parameter you have. So this is how you read the query parameter data in Angular, because this value you are going to pass to the object. Fine. Now what was our object? So this is our object. So let's copy this object. Now again, I'm going to use, we have used reactive form, I think, right? Okay, sorry. So we didn't use the reactive form. Fine. So here we will use the reactive form because only template form only we are using till now. So now in event register, we will use the reactive form. Or do we have used? Let me check one more time. Reactive. Okay, so we have not used. Now, so in Angular, we have two types of form, template or the reactive. So template is very relatively easy by using ng model. Reactive is little bit hard to understand because more code is there. So if you have to use reactive form, first like reactive form model you need to import. Then you need to create a form. So submission form colon data type will be form group is equal to new form group. We are initializing our form group. Whatever the field you have, that you need to put it over here. These are your field. Okay. These are the field what you have from your API endpoint. This is the object what you need to pass. Now, let me just remove this double quote. Now, after this is going to be your control. So colon new form control. So I'm not repeating from very basic, considering you know the basic thing, right? So submission ID is our primary key. So we have to initialize with 0, right? After that, just like same, we have to initialize all the properties. Competition ID is again 0. User ID again 0. By default, it is string. So that's why I'm initializing with 0. String, we will initialize with empty. Let me just copy. Fine. So Now submission date, as I said, we need to initialize the current date. So new date we will pass. Then competition ID by default we will initialize with 0. But here once we subscribe we get the competition ID, so that we will set inside the form. So this dot submission form dot control square bracket single quote. What is our control name? Competition ID. Now we need to set the value of this particular control. So set value. And what value you need to send? Result.id, whatever the URL parameter you have, ID, competition ID you got. Just like that, we need the user ID. So how do we know the user ID? Logged in user ID. We are storing that into the local storage, right? So in service, we have already read that data or no? Okay, we didn't read that data. So when in the login component, in the registration component, once user login, we are storing the data into this local storage value, right? So we will read that local storage data. So constant local data is equal to local storage. Instead of set item, it will be get item, because we need the logged in user ID, and logged in user data we have stored into the local storage in this key. Whenever you read the local storage data, always add a null check, right? So local data is not equal to null, because if the property is not there, we will get it null. Now constant parse data is equal to JSON dot parse, because once you store the data again, you need to read it back. So you need to convert it to, so we use JSON dot parse. So here you will get the data. Now again, this dot your submit form dot controls. Now you need to set the logged in user ID. So square bracket single quote. What control you need to set? User ID dot set value, and user logged in user ID you will get it over here. So that you will set it over here. ID. Fine. So we will just add a debugger over here also, and let's see everything. Fine. We are just checking like if both the control will have the proper value or not. Continue. Fine. So first we got the ID. So that only we are setting it to the competition ID. Fine. So once this line run, see now if I hover on the submission form, control, competition ID, see value is set over here. Just like that. Local data. We got the local data. If you see the local data currently that is in string format, we have to convert it into the object format. So now you see we got the object and user ID. So user ID we are assigning over here. So now in our form, competition ID and user ID is set. Submission ID is by default 0. Now remaining things we need to bind to our form. So let's open the form side by side. So we are using reactive form, right? So on the form tag, we need to use our form group attribute form group, and you have to specify your form name, submission form over here. Then what in template form we are using ng model name, ng model. So here you have to use form controller name. So this is for project title. Where is the title? Project title. Then this is for description. Form controller name is equal to description. So description control name will go over here. Then we have GitHub link. So form controller name is equal to your GitHub link. So this is your GitHub link. Okay, only 3 things we have. Fine. Now on click of button, we have to trigger the API call. So click on submit. Let's create this API call function. See, Angular is easy relative to Angular. And again, relative to JavaScript. Again, it doesn't matter whatever the technology you learn first, that will seems very easy. But in React, we can use JavaScript also, we can use TypeScript also. So there are multiple ways to do that, right? But in Angular, we know like we use TypeScript only. So even if you are not pro in JavaScript, still you will be able to work in Angular. But if you want to work with React, you need to be pro in JavaScript, because all advanced concept we use regularly over there. So that's why I say ki Angular is relatively easy, right? Just focus on your basic things, logic and problem solving. You will be good in Angular. Fine. because mostly doesn't matter what project is there, we mostly do the API call integration forms, and these are the things we do. Your project will keep on changing, business logic will keep on changing, but these are the things we do according to the business logic. We use ngif, we use ngport, dynamic class, but API call will be there, right? Now, so we already have created the service, so API call we will create over there. So this is our service. So post API is there, right? So I will copy paste this on, we will say submit project. So we are submitting our project for the, now I'm going with any, I'm not creating interface or class. Now you know like what I have done. So same thing you can do just like we have created over here. Now we need the URL. So URL is project competition / project only. Let me just copy this. So our method name is project. PROGCT project. Okay, so our API call is ready. Now again, one more quick thing I can explain. So if you see the services, this URL is getting repeated again and again. See? So instead of doing this, what you can do, you can create a variable and there you can store it. API URL :string. This is also not the right way. Actually, you should store this into your environment file. But again, like length of the video will get increased. So I normally skip that. Just visit my channel. I have already created a video. How do we do the setup of it? So there I have already covered it. Fine, like this. So now your code will not be messier. One over here also. So this is interpolation, or what we can use is your template literal. So like this also you can use API URL, and then finally method name you can use it. So while preparing for the interview, we prepare that question like template literal ES6 feature. So in Angular also we can actually use it. Spread operator, rest operator, pure function. These are the things which we can use in while working object destructuring, array destructuring. You can use this while working in Angular also. So you don't have to actually just for preparation, you have to use it. You can use everything over here also. Okay. Now, so our API call function is ready. Now over here, so again, we need to inject it also, right? So master service is equal to inject master service we need to inject. So now here, this dot master service dot which function? This dot master service dot on submit project. This needs an object, but here what do we have? Form. So by using that form, we can extract a object, what we can pass. So constant form value is equal to this dot your form dot value. So it will get you the object what we can pass it to the API. So this form value you can pass it over here. Then your normal subscribe. Again, I'm going with any, but you can create your class or interface. Fine. Now here we can say key alert registration success. Fine. Let's see if it is working properly. Fine. Let's say 31 now. Let me first open the project. Let's say normal tech hackathon, something is there, right? So I will try to register on it. 4 is the ID. Fine. Let's say sample project demo. Something name I'm giving. Sample text. GitHub URL. Some URL. Again, you can add the validation also, like this text box should only contain URL type of data, right? For that, you can create custom directive or create custom function, which you can add it to the reactive form. There are multiple ways to do that. Fine. Let's check the network tab. On click of submit 400. Now let's check. Okay, rank and model. Why model? Model field is required. Rank we know key rank it needs by default rank we are sending as empty, but it's I think integer. Yeah, fine. So rank by default, we will send it as 0 because I think in API we have this as an integer. Fine. Let's again try. Submit. Yeah, so 201. So you can see our API call is success. Now, how do I check it? So where will be that API? Get competition by ID. So our project competition ID was 4. So let's say 4. This is not that API. I want to check one API where if we pass the project ID, we should get all the competition, all the means submission received for that particular project ID. Get all competition. I didn't created that API or what? Yeah, see here we have the API. Get all submission by competition ID for endpoint empty only. Why? Record got success or not? It says 201 competition ID. Submission ID we got 164. And did we pass the correct data? User ID also is there. Competition ID also there. But why we didn't get the ID, competition ID? Let me quickly check the database or if API is not working fine. So whatever the record we said, now see 164, this data is there in the database, but status is, I think, because of status is empty, I'm not getting the record or what. Let's check the API now. Project competition, the last API it was what I'm checking. Get project by competition, get projects by competition ID, where competition ID is equal to this. Let me just check. I don't want to confuse. Let me just quickly check. Sorry, my bad. So this portal over here now, the gate API seems to be not working because in the URL some extra characters are going on. So again, as I said now in the beginning, just open the network tag, click on the test endpoint. You need to get the URL. So you just need to, so this is our URL actually, and slash your ID. So now you can see we got the record. So last record, see, this is the username and what the data we have passed. So that you are getting. So now it's the status is empty. I think we have to pass the status. So by default, we can pass new and then it on approve and reject. See, I'm just updating the status. Fine. So now I'm able to register. But as we discussed initially, if I logged in as a normal participant, so whatever the events where I have submitted my project, that should be visible. So one more page I will be needing where I will show all the submission and there I will, one more API should be there where I can see my submission, where I can pass the logged in user ID. So do we have that API? I think I have not created that API where you will pass your user ID and you get to see all the submissions you have done for various events. Okay. So I think I didn't created that API. Anyway, so by the time you will see this, I will create that API so that you can integrate that API also. So one more page you have to create where you will see my submissions and there you need to integrate another API and for that API you need to pass the logged in user ID. So you will get all the submission that user has done for various events. Fine. So you can do that. Now we have to log in as a our organizer, and in organizer login we have to show all the participants for a particular project. Whatever the participants we have got, that participation project submission we have to show. Fine. So I'm logging as TCS. Login. Now I will, let's check the API first. So this is the API only we have to use. So if I open a particular competition, so this API we need to integrate. So whatever the API we said over here, right? So now we need one more page where we will show all the, what do we say? Registration or project submission we have received for a particular event. Fine. So for that, do we have the component? No. So what we can do, or In the model pop-up also we can show, but yeah, let's show that in the model pop-up, or let's create one more component that will be easy. So ng generate component. So we have to show the project submission, whatever the project submission we have received for a particular competition. Project submissions. Fine. Let's create a component. Now, while navigating to this component, I'm going to navigate with the ID only. Correct? What competition ID I want to see the submission. So again, we have to create the route, which will be parameterized route. So I will copy paste this project, or let's say submissions. Project submission. Now in the event page, right? In the event page, we have got all the events created by the your, what do we say, organizer. So here we will have edit and the delete button. So just like that, one more button I'm providing, that we will say see submissions. Okay. Now on click of this button, we have to navigate to the submission page. But while navigating, we have to pass the competition ID also. So we will import router link, because I'm going to use the router link. So router link slash our route name. Route name is submission slash, we need to pass the, see there in homepage, we have done the using interpolation. This you can do as a property binding also, like this. Fine. Then this should be in a single quote. And here you will bind your item dot competition ID. Sorry, plus item dot competition ID. You will bind it over here. Fine. Now we just need to show the invitations, means whatever the project submission user has done, that we need to show. So for that, this is the data we are going to get, because when, if we open a particular combination, consider as an organizer, you created an event, then multiple users have registered or submitted their project for that event. So you should see who is the user also. So you can see full name and email also you are getting, and the project detail also. So this is the object what we have for project submission. Let's ask ChatGPT only to create the UI. I need UI to show project submission. Use table. This is object. Fine. Let's, so it has provided you the UI. Let's copy, and this will go into our project submission component. Fine. Again, when you are navigating to this component, you are going to get ID over here. So again, you need to read that, just like we have done in the register event. We have created instance of our activated route, and we have read the data. So I'm just copy pasting it just to save the time. Fine. We need to import activated route. And here, instead of saving it, we will just say current competition ID colon number. By default, I'm assigning it to 0. Whatever the ID you get, that you will store into this variable res.id. Fine. Now, when you navigate to see that submission, you get the ID over here. Now you need one more API call to get all the submission received for that particular event. So in our master service, we will create one more API call. So just like get all competition, get all submissions, but it will be with the competition ID. Fine. Let's get the URL also. So our URL is like this: project, then by competition ID, and then our record. So project competition, then instead of 4, now this function will have a parameter ID, competition ID. Let's change. Whatever the ID you get, that ID you will pass it over here. So again, like this. So your URL will be dynamic. Fine. Now this API call function we need to integrate over here. So here get all we will say submissions, and here this dot master service again we need to inject. So master so this dot master dot which function we have to call this function, and this function needs competition ID. Competition ID we are storing it over here. So this you will pass it over here, this dot competition ID, and you will subscribe. Again, I'm not creating interface or class, but you should create it. Okay, I will have the variable submission list colon any. We will get array of objects. So array, and we will store the data over here. So this dot competition list is equal to res. Capital R is there. And this function you need to call once you read the competition ID, because this you are going to need it over here. So once you read it, then you will call it. So in the subscribe, you will call your API call function instead of on the page load. So here you will get the data. That data you will showcase also. Fine. So over here, this tr we will iterate. So at the rate for loop. So this tr I will put it over here. Then serial number. So we will use $index. Interpolation. Then item. This is going to be our, what is that? Project name, project title. Let me just copy paste this now. So project title, then what we are going to show again, submitted by. So submitted by is nothing but name, full name, then email, then GitHub link. So GitHub link here you can make it dynamic. So href and target blank. So here property binding item. So if the URL is correct, so that you will add the validation. So whatever the link you get, it will navigate to that page. And this is what status. Fine. So here interpolation item dot status, and rank is also there now. Item dot rank. Fine. Let's just save all and let's check if we are able to see the submission we have received for the particular project. So competition 4 was this. So, okay. So now we have to go to the event page. So if I click on see submission, see for first, for project, for competition 4, we got this much submission, right? If I go back and if I open web tech, see for web tech, we have so many submission received. Got it? So whatever the competition you open, you get to see how many competition you have received from the participant. Got it? Now, so the almost project is completed. Now just two small things we have to do. So the submission idea we have got. Now we have three APIs. Approve, then organizer will check the project idea, is it relevant or not, and they either they will approve or reject. So we have two API, put API, approve or reject. Okay, we don't need to pass any parameters, right? So let me just get this URL, and we need to pass the ID. So in our service, approve, project, then we can declare winner also. Okay, so this is going to be my URL. Let me just copy paste this. And this will be my URL. So this URL will go over here. Our API method is put. See, but you don't have to pass the object because API doesn't need any object. But it's a post API, so you need to pass object. Without that, you cannot hit. So what you can do, empty object you can pass. Again, it's based on the API person who has developed the API. Normally, this API could have been a post API, get API will also work, but I have created it put. Fine. Now here you need to pass the ID, right? So ID will be your project submission ID. So project submission ID. And this, whatever the ID you get, that you will pass it over here. So instead of this dollar curly bracket ID. So this you will call over here. Let's say we will say it approve. And here we will say reject. And one more button we will need to declare the winner also. Make winner. Fine. Now on this button, we will call our approve. What is that? Approve function. So click on approve. Let's create this function into our component. And while calling this function, we have to pass the submission ID. So item dot, let's check the property name, submission ID. So this you will pass it as a parameter because this is what we need to pass to the API. Fine. And this dot master service dot approve project. And what you need to pass, submission ID as a parameter. Dot subscribe. And once you are successfully subscribed, again you will call this API so that latest data will be visible. Fine. Let's check this. So this global war, wait, status we didn't show, I think. We are getting status, right? Yeah. So let's show the, yeah, status is there. Anyway, I think some dummy data is there. So let's say this first title is their global warming. So status is empty. But if let me show you the network call. Now, if I click on approve, see one API call is there. Project approved. Now, if I reload, see, I got the approved over here. But why API call didn't trigger automatically? It was not saved or what? Let's try now again. Fine. Second one I'm doing. Wait, we got error. No, error is also not there. Approve /2. Why it is breaking? Yeah, project approved we got, but it is going into error block. Okay. See, API is working, but it is going into the error block. Why it is going to the error block? Because of the post or what? So what we can do, error block. And this I will call it over here. Let's check one more time. So let's say the healthcare one I'm trying to approve, right? Okay. So just like approve API I have done, right? So in master service, I have created this approve. Just like that, you need to create two more function. Same thing. See, only method name is getting changed. Reject. Again, for all these two API, you need to pass the submission ID only. So either you can approve the project, reject the project, or you can declare the winner also. Okay. So respective services function you will create, respective API call function also here you will create, and those function you will call it over here. That's it. So your project will get completed. So I'm not doing that. Something you should do now, right? Then last, at the end, you can integrate the get dashboard API. So if I click, so see, this is the dashboard API. You get all the data, how many total users are there, total competition created, ongoing competition, completed competition, everything you are getting. You can just create a normal page. Again, that I will also show. So this is my dashboard data. So you can again ask the chat GPT. This is my dashboard API response. Create a UI to show this data. Use some animation and gradient colors for card. Okay, let's see. So it has provided us the cards. Once it is done, we will copy Yeah, it has done. Let's copy dashboard component. We will paste our HTML. We need the CSS also. So CSS we will copy that. We will put it over here. Do we have created the dashboard route? Yes. Let's try to access this. So dashboard. Wait, it's not saved. Save. Save. Let's try one more time. See, you got the UI ready. Now on the page load, you just have to make that API call, and instead of this hardcode UI, hardcode value, you just need to show whatever the value you get from the API. That is your dashboard. Got it? So we started from very basic registration and the thing, and we completed the whole project. So this is how you complete the project. It's a small one, but again, even if it is big one, the same process we follow. Again, like performance and everything we didn't consider. We have to create many services, constant environment file, directives, pipe, reusable components, so many things we create, right? But this is basic. So but without using that all advanced concepts also, you can still complete the project. Okay. So I hope this video was helpful to you. Make sure if you are learning, if you are in the beginner phase, complete as much as project you can. That will only help you to master Angular, either any technology, either you want to React or Vue or anything. How much project you complete, that many scenario you do, and that's how your logic and problem solving will improve, right? Again, just to repeat, like, please do like and subscribe. In the video description, you might have got a WhatsApp link where you can directly connect with me and join that group. Fine. So that's it. Thank you guys.